So this next section, I would say most of the single digit players I see are keeping their posture. So the players that are usually not breaking into the 80s, that are usually in the 90s or 100s, they're not even close usually in terms of keeping their posture. And so some of the things that the lines that we draw for this would be these are your postural angles on this side, and then this is your spine angle. Now, one thing you'll be happy to hear that Jack Nicklaus was one of the greatest players of all time, right? This guy, listen to what he says. I love this. It's so great. He's got a section about the head position.
The single most important element in swinging a golf club is a steady head. Without a steady head, all the other fundamentals go out the window. Fortunately, the good Lord put my head right in the middle of my body, as he did with most of you. Let's try to leave it there when we address a golf ball and when we play a golf shot. As we stand up over a ball, if our head is in the center of our body and we bend over slightly in the waist and where the club hits the ground is our address position, that is where we want to leave the head. Now, at that point, I like to feel as though I have a stake driven down through my head, down through my body, and into the ground. And I rotate around that stake.
This guy won 18 majors. I mean, it's so funny. One of my students one day was like, I saw these two guys on YouTube and they said that I could move my head. And I said, I mean, did they win any tournaments? And he says, no. And I said, well, this guy did a lot, and he seems to say it's super important to keep your head still.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of coaching around this, and it's something I've always done. It's something I learned years ago to do. Keeping the spine angle is very important. So that's what we're basically looking at in this section. So let's take a look and see what happens here in your backswing. So on the backswing here, you got some really nice stuff going on. Look at this. You go back here, right? You can see that you also agree with this concept, obviously, because look at this. You're dragging it back, and when you reach the top, you've done pretty well here, Bill. You got look at this. You got your hip on the line, right? I would say that you're moving. Just see how your eyeglasses went through that orange line.
Yeah.
So you're moving a little bit. You're moving a little to the right, but it's minimal, right? So I'm gonna draw this to be like this at this moment, and then you have a little bit of your head dropping forward here. Do you see how your head's falling forward? So your head goes slightly forward and slightly to the right of where it began. Are you with me?
I didn't see the forward part.
Okay, let me zoom in for you here then. No problem.
Well, yes.
So
there it is. I wanted to see where it started.
See how you drop right there? You drop.
Yeah.
From where you started. See how your chin is now below the orange line?
Yep.
That's what I'm referring to. Over here on this side, if you want to see it better, let me zoom in so you can see. You can see that you have space between your ear and the orange line right now. And then as you swung, you can see that you've moved a little bit to the right. So again, you're going slightly to the right and slightly forward in your backswing. It's very minimal though, right? It's very minimal. We're talking about a very small amount. I like how you're keeping your knee flex, and I like how your butt's on the line also, right? Because your foot position, and I'm sure you'd agree, the thing that'll happen though is if someone does have their foot too open, it will be harder to make a bigger turn in that direction, right? With the foot here, it's actually easier to make a bigger turn going back. So that is one thing you have to decide on. It might be okay that way. I don't know yet. But if the only thing is I would actually, it's funny, it sounds funny, but like I almost think it's better for some players that have restriction here to have the ability to turn here, and then as they come through, allow their foot.
Pivot on the heel.
Yeah, because I mean, I see some players doing that, like that. Patrick Reed does that, where he lets his foot out a little early.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be effective if you're needing to get a bigger backswing. Because I don't know how far you're hitting. If you're hitting your 7-iron only 130 yards, I don't know if that's enough distance. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is my 8-iron. And
oh, excuse me, your 8-iron.
And normally, actually, I'm hitting the ball as far as I did when I was a pro.
Oh, so you're fine with your distance. So then that would mean then that you don't need to look for more distance. So you don't need a bigger windup. So then leave your foot alone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't think I need. I want to gain.
Continue. So as we continue down here, let's take a look and see where your balance goes and where your head position might go on the way down. Okay, now at this moment, you can see that your rear is on the line nicely. Good job. You can see your butt's on the line. You can see here that your posture is staying how it was for the most part here on the way to impact. Okay, on this side, you're slightly back from the line. You see how you're hanging back a little bit?
Yeah.
And I have this additional line here. Do you see this orange line?
Yeah.
This is a line that we generally use to measure weight transfer. When we were looking at my swing, I don't know if you remember, but I had moved towards that line in the downswing. And so I'll talk more about that in a moment. But for now, I mean, here's a question. Can your left leg handle you putting pressure onto it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There's no.
Well, then
there is no pain.
Then potentially you are hanging back slightly on your swing here. You could have more weight to your left side. There's something that's referred to in the golf swing. We call it the reverse K impact position. And so with irons at impact, we want to see the shoulder, hip, and foot more on this left side like this.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting over to your left. Ideally, you want to get more to the left than this. But here's the good news: you aren't moving out of position really. So you're staying almost where you started, but you could move a little bit more left. With an iron, we move a little bit to our left. I mean, we're talking about a small amount of movement that needs to go that way. 1 second here. Okay, let me put this up here. All right. Then as you come,
one of the things I like.
What's that? Yeah.
Is right at impact. My hands were ahead of the ball.
Yeah, they are. You're right. I see
Right
that.
at impact,
I see that right here.
ahead of the ball, and I'm thankful to see that.
Yes, I'm with you. That part right here. Yeah, you are doing pretty good at the hand position in terms of leaning forward. I agree. 1 second. I just want to screenshot this better. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Now I got it. Okay. All right. Now let's continue here and look on the follow through where you go. Okay, now this is good. Your hips clearing. Look, your spine angle is basically staying here in the same spot, right? Look, your hips on this line. The only mistake is you're lifting up a little. Look, you're actually coming out of the shot early. See how your head's popping up here now. So your head drops down and then it's popping up coming through the shot. So you're actually standing up a little bit on the shot.
Now, I think that if my weight was getting over to the left more, my head wouldn't pop up.
True, they're interrelated. They are you're right. They're interrelated. Absolutely true. So yeah, it's just and we're talking about. I'm going to show you mine in a moment at the end of this, but let me just finish screenshotting your swing. And then as you come through here off the back foot, right? You do a nice job of getting off the back foot into a nice finished position. So nicely done here. If we put a vertical line off the front foot, we want to see that you get through that line and you get to the line. And so you eventually get your balance, where it should basically be. And you make a nice finish. This finish on the left is beautiful. It's, exactly where we want you to be. So let me just save this like this for you. Okay.